You're watching South Asia Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Monday, the 18th of May. India's PM Modi arrives in Norway, trade and tech on agenda. India rejects Hague Court ruling, keeps Indus Treaty suspended. And Nepali Sherpa breaks Mount Everest record with 30-second ascent. And now for all the details. In the fourth leg of his five-nation tour, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday arrived in Norway for bilateral talks focused on trade, technology and investment. The visit marks the first time in 43 years that an Indian PM has travelled to the Nordic country.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in the fourth leg of his five-nation tour, arrived in Norway on Monday for a two-day official visit after concluding his visit to Sweden. In a special gesture, he was personally welcomed by his Norwegian counterpart, Jonas Gahr Støre, at the airport along with other high-ranking officials. He later held bilateral talks with PM Jonas Gahr Støre during which both leaders agreed to elevate India-Norway relations to a green strategic partnership, which marks a milestone in advancing collaboration in the areas of clean energy, blue economy and green transition. They also discussed boosting cooperation in trade, renewable energy, AI, space and the Arctic, while Norway reaffirmed support for India's fight against terrorism.
Friend, आज हम भारत नॉर्वे संबंधों को एक ग्रीन स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप का स्वरूप दे रहे हैं। इस स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप से क्लीन एनर्जी से लेकर क्लाइमेट रेजिलियंस, ब्लू इकोनॉमी, उससे लेकर के ग्रीन शिपिंग, हर क्षेत्र में भारत की स्केल, स्पीड और टैलेंट को नॉर्वे की टेक्नोलॉजी और कैपिटल के साथ जोड़कर हमारी कंपनीज ग्लोबल सॉल्यूशंस डेवलप करेगी।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi was later also conferred with the Grand Cross of the Royal Norwegian Order of Merit, which is Norway's highest honor under the prestigious order, in recognition of his global leadership and efforts to strengthen bilateral relations. Prime Minister Modi over the weekend visited the Netherlands and Sweden after his visit to the UAE on Friday. In Netherlands, PM Modi called on the Dutch royals and held talks with his Dutch counterpart Rob Jetten. Both the countries on Saturday elevated bilateral ties to the level of strategic partnership, as leaders of both the countries sought to strengthen cooperation in areas, including defense. Together, we can drive ambitious innovation to strengthen both our countries in clean energy, water management, defense and in high-tech and semiconductor industries, Jetten said. During his visit to Sweden, Prime Minister Modi held talks with his Swedish counterpart Ulf Kristersson and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Sweden and India on Sunday upgraded the bilateral ties to strategic partnership, as both sides seek to strengthen cooperation in areas, including defense. Meanwhile, von der Leyen stressed deepening investment ties, the next missing piece of the puzzle, after India signed a trade agreement with the EU in January, which is likely to take effect by the end of the year. The deal slashes tariffs on most goods and boosts two-way trade amid growing global trade tensions elsewhere.
But trade is only half of the equation. Our next step must be to deliver an investment agreement. And this is the missing piece of the puzzle in our reinforced economic cooperation, especially in a world where supply chains are being reshaped and economic security challenges us as never before. Deepening our investment ties will help us to de-risk and to diversify.
In Sweden, PM Modi was also awarded the country's highest honor for a head of government, the Royal Order of the Polar Star, Degree Commander Grand Cross by Crown Princess of Sweden Victoria for his contributions to bilateral ties and leadership.
India has rejected the latest award issued by what it called an illegally constituted court of arbitration concerning the Indus Waters Treaty with Pakistan. MEA spokesperson Randir Jaiswal in a post on X said the Court of Arbitration had issued an award on May 15 regarding maximum pondage supplemental to an earlier ruling on the interpretation of the treaty. Maximum pondage is a technical term for the maximum volume of water that could be stored in a reservoir. The decision pertains to Indus Waters Treaty proceedings arising from design disputes concerning the Ratal and the Kishanganga hydroelectric projects located in India. Jaiswal stated that India categorically rejects the latest award as well as all previous pronouncements made by the court. He said India has never recognized the establishment of the Court of Arbitration and considers all its proceedings, decisions and awards to be null and void. He added that India's decision to keep the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance remains unchanged. The Indus Waters Treaty was signed between India and Pakistan in 1960 to govern the sharing and use of waters from the Indus River system. India had placed the treaty in abeyance following last year's Pahalgam terror attack, stating that the move was in line with its rights as a sovereign nation under international law until Pakistan takes credible and irreversible steps against cross-border terrorism. And Pakistan's Interior Minister Mohsen Naqvi met with Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian in Tehran on Sunday during a two-day visit aimed at advancing dialogue and strengthening regional peace, according to a local media reports. Naqvi also met his counterpart and other top leadership of Iran. The meetings came after talks mediated by Pakistan were suspended when Iran and the US each rejected the other's latest proposals last week. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi on Friday said that contradictory messages had raised Iranian doubts about the real intentions of the Americans, adding that the Pakistani mediation process had not failed but was in difficulty. Iran has effectively shut the Strait of Hormuz, which carried 1/5 of global oil and liquefied natural gas supply before the US and Israel launched attacks on February 28. The disruption to shipping has caused the biggest oil supply crisis in history, pushing up oil prices. Thousands of Iranians were killed in the US and Israeli airstrikes. Thousands more have been killed in Lebanon in fighting between Israel and the Iran-backed group Hezbollah, through Israel and Lebanon agreed this past Friday to a 45-day extension of a ceasefire that has tamped down the conflict there. Meanwhile, fresh global concern has emerged as reports have confirmed that the Taliban has introduced a new family law in Afghanistan that formally recognizes child marriage under its judicial system. According to reports, the 31-article regulation titled Principles of Separation Between Spouses was approved by Taliban Supreme Leader Hibatullah Akhundzada. It sets out rules on marriage, divorce and family disputes, with one of the most controversial provisions stating that the silence of a virgin girl may be treated as consent for marriage. Rights groups and international observers have described the Taliban's policies as a system of gender apartheid, and the latest move marks another major setback for women's rights in Afghanistan, where girls have already faced restrictions on education, employment and public life and their movement since the Taliban returned to power in 2021. Reports also suggest that fathers and grandfathers are given broad authority over such marriages, while annulment options for minors remain subject to court approval. Rights organizations warned that the new regulation could deepen the humanitarian and human rights crisis facing Afghan women and children. Moving on, a renowned Nepali Sherpa guide has once again rewritten Mount Everest history, scaling the world's highest peak for a record 32nd time on Sunday, surpassing his own milestone set last year. 56-year-old Kami Rita Sherpa reached the 8,849-meter summit while leading climbers for the 14 Peaks Expedition Company. Nepal's Department of Tourism congratulated him on the historic milestone and praised his contribution to promoting the country's mountain tourism industry. The department also noted that the Sherpa climber Lakpa completed her 11th Everest ascent, the highest number achieved by a woman. Kami Rita hails from Thama village in Nepal, the same village as legendary mountaineer Tenzing Norgay, who, along with Edmund Hillary, became the first to summit Everest in 1953. Kami Rita first climbed Everest in 1994 and has returned to the peak almost every year since, except during 2014, 2015 and 2020, when expeditions were halted due to avalanches, earthquakes and the pandemic. In some years, he scaled the mountain twice in a single season. Since Everest was first conquered more than 7 decades ago, over 8,000 climbers have reached its summit, with many attempting the feat multiple times. And a spectacular wildlife scene is unfolding in western India, where thousands of flamingos have gathered across the wetlands of Navi Mumbai, turning large stretches of water and marshland into shades of pink. The annual arrival of these migratory birds has become one of the region's most anticipated natural events, attracting residents, photographers and bird watchers. Flamingos mostly eat spirulina, a blue-green algae, slurping it through a filter in their beaks. This limits them to alkaline water bodies, which are mostly present in East Africa's Rift Valley. Flamingos are known to be powerful night flyers, capable of covering up to 600 kilometers in a single stretch. Though their exact migratory route remains uncertain, experts believe they travel from Central Africa through West Asia before reaching India. They usually begin arriving in October and stay until April-May, with large populations also seen in the Run of Kutch, savory mudflats in Mumbai and Kanyakumari.
They are such graceful birds and they were beautiful birds. And the best thing is that, you feel that your water bodies are doing good when you see them. So it's a treat to watch them, yes.
That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.